You're now watching Sports Bettor's Paradise on the BetRivers Network.
All right, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of our listening audience. Without you, we cannot do this here on Sports Bettor's Paradise on the BetRivers Network. And, of course, take this opportunity to thank Brady. Brady, all the research and your expertise, knowledge, your historical perspective. We appreciate it all, from the picks, for the angles, from the handicapping philosophies. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to yours, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much, Jimmy, and right back at you. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And it's been a real pleasure and an honor not only to do this football season with you, but all the majors in golf that we have done. I've really enjoyed the time here with BetRivers and the Sports Bettor's Paradise. I appreciate it and hope to continue on down the road in 2024 with you.
Yes, indeed. Let's get right to it as the holiday season. It's football and the NFL on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We go. Boy, my hand is kind of getting burned a little bit on this Tennessee Titans stove, but here we go again, man. I'm taking some tough beats against the Colts and against the Houston Texans this past Sunday. Even Love You Blue Oilers outfit could have. That's a nasty little war between the Adams family and the Texans, the Houston fan base. They don't like it too much down there. But here we go, Seattle off of that big win. And, well, a little celebratory, short turnaround. They have to travel now. And, well, how do they follow it up against the Tennessee Titans? Seattle is 2.5 in Nashville.
Well, you know, it's really ripe for a teaser play too, Jimmy, at 2.5. You could take the Tennessee Titans up to plus 8.5. But there are a lot of threes in the market. So here at BetRivers, you might just wait a minute and you might be able to grab the full 3 points. I think the difference in the line there is the speculation on will it be Will Levis or will it be Ryan Tannehill? And to be honest with you, I don't really think it matters. I like the Titans either way with Tannehill or Levis. And like you talk about the Seahawks off of that big upset win on Monday night, they could be due for a letdown here coming off of that win over Philadelphia. When I do my power ratings, I come out with the Seattle Seahawks as a 1.5 point favorite. But when I run all my stats, I come out with Tennessee as a 1.5 point favorite in this game. They have really been improving in the last few weeks, have the Titans, and of course we've seen that. They're very competitive against the Texans, probably should have won that game. They beat the Miami Dolphins. Here you have them at home where they are much better than they are on the road. They're a home underdog and they're coming off of that nasty loss to the Houston Texans. I think the situation really sets up well for them. And Jimmy, we've talked about it a number of times here on the program. The home underdog that wins outright, that goes into the role of road favorite. Only one time this season has that road favorite cashed in that situation. And that's what you have here for Seattle, getting that win outright as a home underdog, going into the role of road favorite. It's a nasty recipe for that road favorite. And I think Tennessee is good enough to give this Seattle team trouble, who is really fighting for their playoff lives. We talk about teams that must win. If you must win, you must not be that good. And that's a little bit of the case here for the Seattle Seahawks. Like I say, still fighting for a playoff spot in the NFC. So I think it's a good spot for Tennessee with the points, maybe a little bit on the money line, certainly a 6 or 6.5 point teaser, plus 3 points, whatever the number is. I think there's opportunities here with the Titans.
I love that. I love that saying. You must win. You mustn't be that good. It's definitely one, and you get a little value going against those teams because a lot of that gets a lot of public support. Is that angle? They have to win. They have to win. Get extra value this football season with the BetRivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. Bet $10 in same game parlays on any game with the Squares icon to earn a square. That's brought to you by our friends here at BetRivers. All right, Minnesota heartbreaker on Saturday, the first of that Saturday triple header. Man, they had that game won against Jake Brown against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they have to get back up off the floor, and they are fighting for their playoff lives. And Detroit finally righted things. They were very impressive. The nightcap of that triple header as they blew out the Broncos. Minnesota at home catching 3.5 against the visiting Lions.
Yeah, I loved the Lions last week, Jimmy, and that got home for us as one of our
Yeah.
plays here on the show. And you're right, they really got the ship righted last week in a big win over the Denver Broncos. But now they go out on the road in division against the Minnesota Vikings, a team they will play twice in the final 3 weeks of the season. Now, Nick Mullins was pretty sloppy last week, but like you say, they probably should have won that game on the road at Cincinnati. So they were very competitive against a Cincinnati team that has now won 3 in a row. So I'm okay with what I saw out of the Vikings in that effort, and basically a push on the spread there as they lost by 3. You won if you got 3.5 early in the week. But now they go back home and have a division game again against the Detroit Lions, who were kind of fat and happy off that big win over the Broncos. But the Vikings, I think, Jimmy, have one of the best home field advantages in football. That crowd for a division game will be really fired up. The Vikings really, I think, have been the better team on defense between these two squads really for the entire season. I mean, the Lions are very good in defending the run, but they can't get to the quarterback too well. Aiden Hutchinson is really the only guy they have that can put pressure on the quarterback, but he doesn't have a whole lot of help, and they're not getting a lot of sacks. So that should give Mullins time to throw in this game. The Detroit Lions are 21st in the NFL in yards per pass attempt allowed and 24th in defensive passer rating. So and you've got Justin Jefferson with another week healthier. So I think Minnesota could have some success through the air. When I crunch the stats, I make the Lions just a 1-point favorite in this game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota won outright here, but I'll gladly take 3 and that hook. There are a lot of 3s in the market starting to pop up now, but BetRivers still offering you that hook. So that's a very advantageous number in my mind.
A lot of value right there, BetRivers, with that number at Minnesota plus 3.5. You talk about the defense. I don't think there's any question who has had the better year on defense, and it's one guy, and that's Brian Flores. And I don't know how much damage was done with the shenanigans down at Miami, where they were tanking, and he was way more competitive than their roster indicated. But, man, the guy can coach. It might be up for assistant coach of the year. He has done a heck of a job. And, think about how early they lost Cousins and what they've had to play with in that one. So, yeah, that defense, and they get going with that crowd noise as well on the defensive side for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm on the Vikings plus at 3.5. And a little bit more cushion now for Detroit. Where it was getting a little, Minnesota and Green Bay was kind of creeping closer. Now they've widened that gap, and basically I think the magic number is 1 for them to clinch. So Detroit with a little cushion in there, maybe making them a little bit more comfortable. All right, let's get to the great one, the best game of the week, one of the best games maybe of the year. It is the primetime game on Christmas night, and that is Baltimore and San Francisco, the 2-1 seeds as of now in their respective conferences. So San Francisco, 5.5 over Baltimore. So a big number, but boy, San Francisco seems to be sort of a runaway train right now as well. Also, my personal bet, and that is on Brock Purdy at 14-1 to win the MVP. How much of that is on the line with the second choice right now, Lamar Jackson, with Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott sliding back toward the pack?
Yeah, and I think another guy that's should be in that conversation, he's a little lower on the board, but I really think Christian McCaffrey is a candidate for MVP as well, a big one, if not, in my mind, more important than Brock Purdy. But I think you have those 3 players, obviously, those would be the top 3 candidates in my mind right now, all involved in this game, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey. And I have these 2 teams rated as the best 2 teams in football. My power ratings come to San Francisco as a 4-point favorite in this game. But when I run all the stats, I come out to the Niners as just a 2-point favorite in this game. I am in the camp that I think this is just too many points. Baltimore's, had a little bit of travel here. They go to Jacksonville on Monday night. They come all the way across to the other side of the country. But San Francisco historically has struggled with mobile quarterbacks. Now, they did not do so against Kyler Murray last week, nor did they do so against Jalen Jalen Hurts a few weeks ago, who maybe has become a little bit less mobile in this style of offense that Philadelphia has been running lately. But, for years, the 49ers struggled with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. And Lamar Jackson is really a completely different animal in terms of mobile quarterbacks. It's very interesting, Jimmy. Both of these teams, the Ravens and the Niners, have been very poor against the run, in defending the run the last few weeks. And yet on the offensive side of the ball, they are both number one in yards per rushing attempt. So they can both run it. They can't defend it too well as of late. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then you look at Lamar Jackson and his record against the NFC, against teams that are less familiar with that Baltimore offensive running scheme. He's had tremendous success there. So I think this ought to be a great game, but I just think the point spread is too many. Like I say, when I crunch the stats, it comes to the Niners by 2. My power ratings are Niners by 4. I think either team could win this game by less than a field goal.
Arizona had some success moving the ball. They had 22 first downs and 436
Mm-hmm.
yards. I know that sometimes the box score can be a little skewed in a wide margin game, but still, that San Francisco defense, it's more on their offense. It's not like the team, and I know you're very knowledgeable about San Francisco's history, but that team that lost at double-digit lead in the second half to the Chiefs, way more dependent on their defense. This offense, is really the explosive. I think maybe Baltimore can move the ball a little bit on San Francisco. And the other thing with San Francisco, they're just cashing tickets like left and right. So they've won 6 in a row, and they have got, depending on where you got the line with Seattle. Is that it? And because they've covered all of these, Jacksonville by 31, Tampa Bay by 13, Seattle by 18, Philadelphia by 23. That Seattle line that went between 11 and 14 was toggling back and forth when Geno Smith was announced out. Maybe the closing line they didn't cover, but you certainly had a chance to cover that one as well. So they are just going to keep pushing them up. So that may be just a little bit inflated.
I think the Baltimore defense is the better of the two defenses here on the field. I think the 49er defense, we're getting to that point in the season where I think they're just a little bit worn out. And that first round bye, if they were to get the number 1 seed in the NFC, could really help San Francisco, because I think that defense is, like I say, just getting a little bit fatigued right now. I think the Baltimore defense is the better of the two in this game. San Francisco, 25th in yards per play allowed. They're dead last the last few weeks in defending the run, and they're also 22nd as of late in third down defense. So, and that's just as of late. We know, throughout the entire course of the season, this defense is really good. But just lately, they've been showing some holes, and I think it's a little fatigue and what have you. And maybe they don't have to do as much because the offense, like you say, has been so good. But again, I go back to the fact that I just think this is too many points. I do think the game will close probably 4.5. I think there's going to be some activity on the Ravens side here.
Especially like those SEC linebackers that can fly. Now, they invested first-round picks, but Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, of course, Chicago kind of gave up on Roquan. But, man, those are those new-age linebackers. They can absolutely fly to the ball. So Baltimore plus the 5.5 should be a very good one on Monday night. All right, for Brady Kannon, I am Jimmy Ott. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours, all of our listeners. Without you, this is not possible. From the Sports Bettor's Paradise, right here on the BetRivers Network.